Magneto, X-Men The Last Stand, Tai Lung, Kung Fu Panda, The
Into the
Lich,
resin of this
Adventure
tree.
Time, The Joker, Dark Knight, Light Yagami, Death Note, and Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs. Each of these villains may have different motivations, but they share one thing in common: their resolution to be free. They remind us that obstacles can be turned into opportunities, and we should stay alert to the possibilities around us.
We won't get far. Archer!
Welcome to Cultured Critiques, Epic Villain Escapes. We'll dive into the cunning plans of each of these villains and find out the common threads which make these escapes extraordinary. Yeah, how about let's not do that, because I ran out of steam, I ran out of motivation. I was gonna make something about all these characters, you know, their backstories and blah blah blah. But you know what? I really don't care that much. And I don't think anyone else really out there does. Um, I love a good escape story. I like. It's not always when the bad guy escapes. I like stuff like Shawshank Redemption and Andy Dufresne. Um, hell, I even like sometimes where it's a gray area. Talking, believe the name is Mark Grayson from Mr. Invincible. Is it from Invincible? The Amazon special, I guess, or it's a comic book, I think, turned. Um, so there are other kinds of escapes that aren't like your cookie cutter, either good or bad guy, ambiguous, uh, morality guy. That's I guess what I mean. Um, I just like the idea that you can be trapped behind like an impenetrable fortress, and with just by paying attention, that's really the thing that all of these guys did. They paid very close attention to everything around them, and they didn't they didn't make false escape attempts like while paying attention. Usually, something happens. So in the case of Tai Lung, he's observed, his surroundings, where the guards are, um, and he understands where he's like meditating actually in this shell. I don't want to go into it, but it's just like this one feather. He's looking for like one opportunity. He knows he needs like a piece or something to like unlock this device that's the shell that's on his back, and he's very aware that for when it happens, because like imagine that feather fell and he like missed that opportunity, and something happened in a cleanup, wind came through, or gust of wind, I don't know, and he lost that opportunity. So like constantly looking for that window of opportunity, I think is the one of the key factors that I admire in a lot of these fictional characters as escapes. Um, yeah, I just like the idea that even in a really disadvantaged position, just by being really patient, very attentive, and determined, and and resourceful, I guess, it's possible to break free. And now obviously we're talking in fiction in this case, but we all know that there's many real life examples. One of my favorite actually, is a former slave, uh, who eventually turned governor. Um, I believe his name is Robert Smalls. Let me look that up actually. Okay, so yes, it is Robert Smalls. Um, Yeah, crazy story for this guy. I'm just looking this up on Wikipedia. He was a politician, publisher, businessman, and maritime pilot. Born into slavery, he freed himself, his crew, and their families during the American Civil War. So, and the story behind that is insane. How the fact that this guy is not like one of the faces of, we have like the Harriet Tubmans and Rosa Parks is like, more popular than Robert Smalls, which I feel is so weird. And I'm not saying, I don't want to get this into a gender thing, but like if you look at what Robert Smalls overcame. Um, he wasn't, whatever Rosa Parks risked by sitting in a seat, like Robert Smalls risked everything, and not just his life, but the life of others, and made it work. So that's the most epic escape. That's a real one. So I'm using fictional examples because first, well, for one thing, other people might relate to those more. Because who the fuck knows who Robert Smalls is? If someone had to tell me just like maybe 8 years ago, but no school ever taught it to. I was like, I almost didn't believe the story when I heard it. I was like, what? But please go look him up. I'll put some links around. Um, Slavery is terrible. One of the worst. It's obviously absolutely atrocious, right? And it's still happening today. There's still a lot of prisoners. Unfortunately, a lot of them are not as they're not as intelligent as the rest of us. They're young. Well, they're about as intelligent as a toddler. So because of that, we abuse them, uh, take their flesh, their skin, their babies, sexually uh, exploit them, and also use them for our entertainment. Um, both, and it's very sad that we're able to see when one injustice exists in one form and are able to then turn a blind eye to it in another form. So yeah, this a bait and switch video? I don't know. You tell me. I started out motivated to make something about villains escaping, and I realized that I don't give a fuck about these fictional characters that much. But I do realize that their stories tell something about our innate desire for freedom. And I don't think it's a human thing. I think it's a living thing. You see when cows are released from their sheds, how they jump for joy. I think after cold like winter months, they come out for spring. Um, you see it when animals are released into the wild, from rehab centers. Sometimes they are like if they're already attached to human beings, they'll kind of maybe come back, but most of the time you just seem they realize, oh shit, I'm free, and they just take right off, and they go back into this dangerous world where everything's trying to eat them. But at least they have that one thing that I think all sentient beings crave, which is the freedom for self determination. Um, you know, let them find their own way, but don't impose our way on them. And I think that's why I relate so much to these characters is that they're first of all they are villains, which is something unfortunately I relate very strongly to villains, uh, because usually they're ostracized by society or like there's something. Usually there is like a good reason that they're a villain is a villain, but their means to address that reason are not like the best. The reason I relate to that, I guess, is yeah. Um, and it's why I selected villains. But there's a lot of good escapees, and I think right now there's billions of slaves, uh, locked up in chicken coops and uh pigsties and farrowing crates and cows and stalls and horse stalls, and we don't need to keep all these slaves, and they don't want to be there. So let's stop it. Let's not put the absurdly difficult task or challenge of observing their surroundings and finding a way to escape, like those uh five bulls, I forget in which state, that they escaped slaughter and were almost actually killed anyway because the police wrangled them up, and um they were going to be killed anyway, and the sanctuary had to rescue them. And let's not put that upon them. Ed Winters has a great video about this, about why do we side with animals who escape. Please check that out. I think what we're doing right now is just an abomination. I think if we look at what we do to animals, we'll realize that slavery is still very rich and alive in our cultures, and it's very condoned. And I'm ready to stop it. If you are, let's join forces and let's take down those walls and those prisons, and let's let them go. I'm saying that metaphorically. The solutions are going to be way more complex. But we can't get there until we agree that freedom is the ultimate goal for all of us. And I'm going to end it there. Thank you for listening. Bye.